Please stand and pledge allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Those who have cell phones, it's appreciated if you would either mute them or turn them off. Thank you. First order of business of approval of treasurer warrants for February 2nd.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Accounts payable warrants for February 6th.
I move that we accept the accounts payable warrant for February 6, 2018.
I'll second it. All those in favor? I don't know if this is I just noticed the first one says payroll warrants February 2nd, but isn't it February 6th?
Mine does say the 6th.
Mine says the 6th.
Oh, today's accounts payable warrant. Friday was the payroll.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, approval of the minutes, January 25th, 2018, executive session that we had.
Move the minutes as written.
Second.
All those in favor? The minutes for January 30th. Do we have any corrections? If none, I will make a motion to approve the minutes for January 30th, 2018.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you. We have no special presentations tonight.
Two, right?
Mr. Thayer is not here, I don't believe,
Oh,
and the other one has been postponed. Okay?
sorry about that.
We have no committee appointments. We have a public hearing on a new liquor license for Carl Chapman, Cubby Hall. Can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay. Is Carl Chapman in the audience?
Yep.
Okay.
This one isn't here yet.
Does the board have any questions at this point for Mrs. Chapman? Chief, you have a problem with this?
No, we spoke on the phone. My concern was on Saturday evenings after race nights,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not going to be an issue, according to.
No, it's not. We'll be closed by 10 o'clock on Saturdays.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
But there has not been any complaints there at all from, as far as the police department goes.
Okay, that sounds good. Are you still going to serve food?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Just getting rid of
The grocery.
the grocery side of it?
Yeah, it's not doing well, so. And add more to the menu.
Okay, what about bottle redemption? Are you still doing that, or is that going to go?
That's gonna go by the end of the summer, unfortunately. Kids can't keep up with it all.
I can imagine. Does anybody else on the board have any questions? Any of the public have any questions? Okay. I have a motion to come out of the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? And we have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, the next portion is the public comment section. At each regular selectman meeting, there will be time devoted to any resident or taxpayer of the town of Wiscasset to address the selectmen regarding any item that is not on the agenda for that meeting. Comments are limited to 5 minutes per person. There will be a 30-minute maximum for this section. Is there any public comment? Yes, Judy.
It takes a village. It really takes a village to build a community, and it takes a village to destroy that community. The sign posted in a Main Street storefront window was offensive to me personally, but beyond that, it was hurtful to our downtown businesses, the town government, and the citizens of Wiscasset. This sign was vulgar and disrespectful to the chair of our select board. I understand that the select board is going to remain silent on that matter. I am sorry and dismayed. The collective, deafening public silence of the other downtown businesses, the residents who had posted respect signs up and down our streets, and the select board silence speaks volumes. By the silent tongues in the unused pen, we invite such displays to continue or worsen. A community is not destroyed overnight, but by the drip, drip, drip of inaction of good people. I want to publicly say to the board chair and the Maine State Department of Transportation that you do not deserve to be the target of this shameful act of freedom of speech. I know that there were 2 business owners who did approach that store owner with the sign and did express their concern over it. But I do want to add that I commend the town of Jackman and the action taken dealing with its own current freedom of speech issue.
Thank you, Judy. Is there anyone else that has a public comment? Seeing none, we'll go ahead. We have no department head or committee chair. Unfinished business. 2018 ambulance service contract rates, Westport Island and Edgecombe.
Good evening. As you know, over the past year, we've talked about increasing the subsidy rates for Westport and for Edgecombe. It's that time of year to start to look at what you would like to use for rates for Edgecombe and Westport. And I have a little bit of data for you so that you can have an understanding of the revenues for these 2 communities. Calendar year 17 to 18, Westport Island had 51 calls with a revenue of $14,176.15. The year 17-18 for Edgecombe had 109 calls. We billed out $94,526. 94,526. Out of that $94,000, we received payments of $35,441.61. We had write-offs, which are Medicare and Medicaid that only allow you to bill a certain amount. Total write-offs was $41,352.18. And currently, the balance that's out there that is owed for taxpayers in those 2 communities is $17,332.21. My question tonight is, moving forward, how would you like to move forward with subsidies for Edgecombe and Westport?
Yes, Bob.
I don't think we should subsidize anybody. I think we should pay the same that we have to pay.
owed, is that the balance that Edgecombe owes, or the Westport and Edgecombe? You had-
The 17,732.21, that is the balance of citizens in Edgecombe and Edgecombe only.
Okay, so it's just Edgecombe.
So that's bills for people within that community that got transported by our EMS and that have not currently paid their bill and has gone forward to probably collections, which is the Thomas Agency.
Well, I agree with Bob. I don't think the taxpayers of Wiscasset need to subsidize our neighbors. It would be nice if we could, but we can't.
We used to.
We used to. Maine Yankee isn't here to help us, so I say we should not be subsidizing anything. We're just not.
What do we charge Westport and Edgecombe at this point?
Currently, it's a flat year rate, and that's $3,000 per community. And that's where it's been for several years.
And Hurston, I see is 6,000.
$6,000 for year number 1, $6,500 for year number 2, $7,000 for year number 3. I can give you some ideas of what other communities are doing when they have communities that they serve for EMS. Typically, there's 3 different options. One is a flat rate, which is currently where you're at right now, which is way below what we should be paying. The second is a percentage per capita. And the third is an option, is kind of like a formula by what they use for the school programs. And the schools have certain formulas that they use to bring in children from other communities to their school districts. So those are the 3 typical formulas that towns use to offset or come up with a rate of what subsidies should be. I can give you an idea of where we're at for population. Currently, the town of Wiscasset has 3,730 people within its community. Westport Island has 706 people within their community. Edgecombe has 1,236 people within their community, and Dresden has 1,673.
You said one of them was per capita?
One of them's per capita, where you charge a certain percentage for their capita,
What
which
was
is
that
very common.
percentage be?
You set the rate. I can tell you that we did a market analysis last year where I submitted rates with other communities, and the average rate where people are at are 8 to 11% is what they're charging per capita.
Anybody else on the board have any questions? Any thoughts? Yes,
Can I
Bob?
just ask for clarification? When you say 8%, I'm not sure what you're talking about per capita.
Well, what you do is you charge 8% of whatever they have for population, and that gives you a flat rate of what their bill would be for the subsidy. So an example, if you have Westport and it's 706, you charge that, you times that by 8%, and that's what the rate will be.
Thank you.
I would, as a personal, being a department head, I would really get out of having a flat rate. If you do go to a flat rate, I would try to get into a contract, and I would say that you're gonna have to go up. I can tell you that the average ambulance call for the town of Wiscasset right now is about $286 is where our fees are based on what we're utilizing for the vehicle, manpower, the average call, the distances. So it's about $286 per hour to run that ambulance on an average.
Kathy?
Of these different options, which option do you feel would be the most advantageous for the town? In figuring out how to.
I would believe that per capita would be the best option for the town, but that's going to substantially increase their rates of where they're at now, considering that they are fixed. I would say that if you're going to go to a percentage per capita, I would try to lock into a contract where it gradually gets there instead of it happening overnight. That's just my recommendation. Whether it be a 3-year contract, whether it be a 5-year contract, but try to lock into a contract that gets them to where they should be, but it doesn't drastically increase their budgets unless you determine that.
I mean, I personally was thinking of, the same type of contract we have with Dresden for Westport Island and Edgecombe, same rate also. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, based on what we're charging for Edgecombe, I mean, what we're receiving, what we charged for Edgecombe at the 94, I mean, we only received $35,000 in payments, and we had $41,000 in write-offs. Is the 6,000, the 6,500, and the 7,000 going to get you enough of the subsidy to offset where we're going to be in the future from now? I don't think so. I think that you need to go higher, but that's going to be your call as to where you think you should be based on what we're receiving for revenue and the amount of calls that we're doing for that community.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you, where do you think we should be? You knew this was coming.
I would like to see the town go to a per capita percentage, and you set the rate of 6%, 8%, whatever you want to set per percentage, and that we gradually get to that within a 3-year contract.
And start out at what percentage would you recommend to start out at?
I would say that you go to 6, 7, and 8 per percentage. And then if you're doing a 3-year contract, in a 3-year contract, you're going to be up to the 8%. It's going to drastically increase, you know, what their current rates are. They're going to go from 3,000 to potentially up to, I'd have to really do the math real quick, but maybe 12 to 15, if you do the math on it, over a 3-year span.
Still a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I mean, if you do 6%, let's say at Westport, that's $4,200 a year.
Yep, for the first year.
For the first year, so you're raising it $1,200.
And then you do the math after that, you know, and you add it up over the 3-year contract, and after the 3-year contract, you're gonna be up to the 8%, and you move forward from there. But the town, so I've been blagging, the town can't sustain the $3,000 anymore. So, you know, it's been like that for many, many years, and
Yes, Bob.
I didn't have the population. And if you add up Westport, Edgecombe, and Dresden, it's nearly half, you would do a little bit of rounding, but nearly half of the total population of Wiscasset. So it would seem to me that we should be paying 2/3 of the total budget, and the rest of those communities should pick up 1/3. If you divide it out by population, then you get a totally different number for Edgecombe than you do for, say, Westport. But isn't it more fair to charge based on the number of people that you would potentially be serving?
Well, I'm looking at, let's say you start out at 6%, that's $4,236 for 1 year to get it up to 8%.
and that's for one community,
For
right?
one community, that's for Westport, I'm talking Westport at this time. That's $4,200, rounding it off. By the time you get to 8%, you're at $5,600. So you're only increasing at $1,200 over, what, a 2-3 year period. I mean, that just does not make sense to me. I mean, when you're charging Dresden $6,000, they're not even anywhere near it. And Dresden, I grant you, has more people, but I'm looking at the percentages. I agree with Bob. I think they have to pay a little bit more than what they're paying for our services. But again, I don't know exactly. Anybody else on the board say something, please? Don't let me do all the talking.
You're doing great.
Thanks.
You know, we basically, when I say the 8%, I mean, you have the right as the board to set the rates that you want, but I was going basically on the average that we did for the data for what towns are being charged for subsidies. It's very hard to distinguish. If you get up towards the Rangeley area and you get up towards Kingfield, their rates are a lot higher and their percentages are a lot higher because they're geographical area to where they're at. So, I mean, you do have the option to go higher. You can go 10, 11, and 12%. You could keep it at a flat rate.
So Bob, you were talking about 1/3 of the budget?
Well, if you, I understand doing the math that way, but I was just looking at the total population. It may be a way that's not acceptable to do it, but if you've got, if everybody has the same accessibility to the ambulance,
Right.
and everybody has the same possibility of having the need for it, well, I wouldn't divide it up strictly based on the number of people. And then you could do a surcharge if it's further away, and I'm not sure how you're gonna factor the capital costs in, but if we're picking up a huge amount of this and charging next to nothing for it.
If you're looking at going to 1/3 of what the budget is, like you're suggesting, just remember that we are already in a contract with Dresden. So the first year is kind of a wash. So in order for all 3 towns to be on the same yearly contract that you would look at, then you would set either 1-year rates for the next 2 years or sign a contract for 2 years, knowing that when you come back to the drawing board, when all 3 contracts get done, you have a little bit more negotiation power as opposed to where Dresden is right now, where they're already in a 3-year contract with us.
I understand that, and I don't expect that this change would be made. I just think it gives you an opportunity to look at more realistic numbers, that's all.
Right. Did you have something you were going to say?
So Bob, it sounds like you're talking about is like what we do for the transfer station budget.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and we still pick up a lot of the capital costs of that.
Okay.
But that is based strictly on population and,
Yes.
and Toby's absolutely right. You've got to pull Dresden out of the equation because we already have a contract with them. But if you did the math that way, based strictly on population, at least it gives you an opportunity to look at a number that's realistic.
So Toby says we could do a contract with Westport and Edgecombe for 2 years because we have 2 more years.
Get
on
you
the
back
Dresden.
on a cycle with
So
Dresden.
we'd have all 3 of them coming up at the same time. And then, at that point in time, do like what you're saying. What does that sound like? We just need to come up with a technical rate for the next few years.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't expect that that's going to happen because the numbers are going to be huge.
Definitely. 1/3 of the budget, yes. But even at 6%, that is quite a hike for Westport. I mean, it's $1,200, but, I don't know what would happen if you said, okay, we're gonna go to 6,000, both of them. And then the following year, 6,500.
It would be more 65 than 7, because next year.
That's right, 65 or
Right.
7.
Next year, we're gonna be at 65 for Dresden.
Put them right with Dresden. Catherine?
Toby, how did you come up with the figures, the final amounts for this Dresden contract? What math did you use, or what's the formula?
We didn't really have a formula. We kept it at rates. Basically, that was coming up with some of the numbers that they were having with Gardner, as much as they could give us. I can tell you that one of the things that I would urge the town to look at in the future is the uncollectibles. And instead of the town not getting the revenue for the uncollectibles, that you leave it up to the town's responsibility for the uncollectibles that they pay for. It's kind of like what they've done in the past with Gardner. And Gardner was owed because they got out of their contract. They had a contractual agreement in there that they collected, and the town was responsible for the uncollectibles. And it came to somewhere between like I think it was like $57,000 that the town owed Gardner for their services. The other thing that goes along with this is that you need to know, because of the disruption between Gardner and Dresden, Gardner Fire, which is our mutual aid for Dresden, is now charging us $500 per ALS intersect. So, and that comes out of our subsidy and out of the town, as opposed to the town of Dresden picking up the charge for ALS intercepts.
Well, am I correct that in the agreement with Dresden, they are responsible for the uncollectibles?
I think it has to do with whether or not we get out of the contract or they get out of the contract. If there's a cancellation within the contract, if we cancel the contract, then they're not responsible for the uncollectibles. If they decide to cancel the contract, then they are responsible for the uncollectibles.
So what you're saying is any contract that we would go into with any of the three towns, that we would put in there that on a yearly basis, that they would be responsible for the non-collectibles? Is that what you're saying? To take the burden off the town of Wiscasset?
That is an option.
Well, it makes a sensible option. It makes sense if it's their residents. Okay. Bob?
Who would be a mutual aid supplier for, say, Westport?
Well, we've used, our first mutual aid in the town of Wiscasset is Booth Bay. One of the reasons why we went to Booth Bay is because there were some problems last year, as you can recall, during the summertime where CLC came into our community. We had a couple of complaints that were written complaints to the town in reference to patients not having the option of choosing which hospital they went to. CLC firmly believes, and they have the right per the state statutes, to transport to their local hospital because of getting back to their tertiary center or their coverage area. So as you know, we had some complaints last year that were written down, that was sent to the town, it was presented to the board, and we decided that we were going to utilize Booth Bay as our primary response. Our secondary response for Westport, if Booth Bay is not available, is Woolwich, and our third response, if Woolwich isn't available, is Bath Fire.
What do those folks charge?
Currently, right now, there isn't a charge for Woolwich. As you know, Woolwich is not the primary transporting service. Woolwich's primary transporting service is an ambulance that comes from the Naval Air Station, or the, which is northeast. And it's hit or miss of whether or not they're available. So right now, we don't get a bill from Northeast. The contract for Bath is it's either $350 per time that they come into our community for mutual aid. And that's $350 that they charge us, even though that they are billing their patient that they transport. So they bill the patient and they charge us a fee of $350.
It does make the 500 seem a little high.
That's
Any other comments or questions from the board? What would you like to do?
Could I make a recommendation that you give Toby and I a chance to look at these numbers and bring back to you what the numbers would look like if we went per capita, or
Yes.
we can certainly do that for your next meeting, and we'll certainly let Westport and Edgecombe know that it is likely their rate will be going up. It's just yet to be determined. If that's acceptable.
Yeah, could you possibly, I don't want to spend a ton of time on it, but maybe do a couple different ways, do
Sure.
a couple of the options that you mentioned?
Sure. I'll have, I can do all three by doing a flat rate per capita and then doing the formula by kind of like what the school department uses, and I can also look at what your rates are and how you come up with your formulas for the transfer station.
Yeah, yeah. I'd just like to see that. I think that in the ambulance world, it may not, but in the real world, it just seems like it makes the most sense.
Right. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Toby. We can expect that our next meeting. Thank you. Okay, town clock update. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Kim?
friend texted me, she's trying to watch at home, and she said she thinks the pause button might be.
No, the pause button,
It's not
only one
working.
camera is working.
Okay,
and I don't
okay,
know.
I just wanted to ask.
Because
for
the board
her.
is moving, that camera is working, which is this camera that for some reason
Okay,
is not
thank
working.
you.
And I've been trying to find the reason for it, rather than calling Tech, and I don't know if you want me to do that right this second, so.
No. Okay, town clock update. Jason, you're up.
Well, since last time, I have a key, and the lumber has made it up to the bottom of the first ladder, and I've contacted the owner, and she has given me permission. So everybody's given me permission, now it's just time for me to start. So it's proceeding. I may go up there Sunday, but probably next Saturday, dive into it, so.
Okay,
That's it.
that's it. Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you.
MDOT update.
I don't have much to offer. As you know, we had a brief executive session with council because we are scheduled to be in court tomorrow. And Gina asked me today if it's an open hearing, and I did ask that question, and they said no, it's a closed hearing. So we don't have any more information. We had hoped to receive a little bit more of an update, but it seems that all parties are being silent right now in getting ready for tomorrow. So I am going to attend the court proceeding to represent the board in the town, and if we have anything to report, we plan to meet next Tuesday. We will be publishing the agenda. It will be exclusively just to give a report on the MDOT. For those of you that have taken time out of your schedule to attend, the last time we decided to hold the conversation at the community center, I did receive some very negative feedback from folks who weren't happy because it wasn't going to be recorded. So for those of you that have taken time, I'd like to know, is it more important to you that it be recorded or that you be comfortable and there's room for more people to attend? I'm just asking informally, because we don't have the ability at the community center. It's a goal, it's a project that we hope to work on, but presently we don't have that ability.
There are a lot of people that watch from home. I think it would be important to have it recorded.
So the preference would be the recording, okay. So that does limit the number of people that can be in this building, and so I just want to make you aware of that. There is an occupancy limit. I can't remember what the number's up there, but thank you for that feedback. So, so the plan is if we have anything to report, we will publish an agenda as soon as we can to meet next Tuesday at 6 o'clock for the sole purpose of updating anyone on progress if there is any. So that's all I have for this evening.
Thank you. Under new business, a sewer abatement policy. First read.
This is your first glance at this. This has come about because in years past, Buck shared with me, they received an occasional request for a sewer abatement. Well, now they seem to be coming in fast and furious, and we have no policy. And the folks go to the water district who administers our billing for us and graciously does a good job. And they refer them to us. And we don't have any guidelines as to whether or not to abate. And we also have people that say, I water my lawn this much, so I should have to pay my sewer bill. And so this allows for a second meter for those folks that do, have a lot of landscaping and gardens in their yard and stuff. So I'd like to ask you to read this over. This is not a Marion original. I looked at Boothbay's and I looked at Bath Brunswick to get an idea of what those other communities do. And if there's any parts of it that you would like amended or have questions on, if you would let me know, and I'll have this on the agenda for the next meeting to ask for your consideration.
Okay. Bring this back to the meeting.
I'll bring it back at your next regular meeting.
Okay.
So if you can take the time to read it, would be helpful. your feedback is important.
Okay. Is everybody ready to go forward? Okay. Town managers report.
Fortunately for you folks, I don't have much to report this evening. I've spent a good part of the week out with this cold. So I just appreciate my staff has picked up the slack, and I thank them for that. But other than working on the MDOT things, there really isn't anything else to report at this time.
Thank you. Other board business, do any members of the board have anything? Well, we're going to set it on the record tonight. I'll take a motion to adjourn. All those in favor? Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.